I'm not going to miss the countdown today. I'm going to be looking at the camera. So, hey, welcome to March 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day.
Yay.
And happy celebrations wherever you're celebrating. Today, like this hat, I don't even know why it made me think of this. A few years ago, I celebrated in Ireland. We were there in Ireland, St. Patty's Day. It was so much fun. Um, I love this day. Just, I don't know even really why. I think just because it reminds me of being a kid and like going around school, making sure you have your green on so you didn't get pinched or punched or all the things. So hopefully you're wearing your green today. And if not, this is your reminder to go get something on, and your underwear don't count. I don't know. Was that a thing for you, Leah? Everyone's like, well, I have green on my underwear.
No.
Yeah.
Never a thing
Yeah.
for me.
So it was a thing. It was a thing. I have my daughter in my front room today, and she's looking at me like, oh my gosh, mom. She said it was real. It was a real thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So anyway, wherever
Maybe
you're
it's not a
celebrating,
Canada thing.
it's not a Canada thing. Oh, yeah, I forget you're up there or over there or wherever you're at. Welcome to I almost said live and unscripted, to Presents with Watercolors. This is a 30-day just being present with watercolors activity that Leah's like, hey, I want to do this thing. And I said, okay, I'll be your guinea pig. And what's been really cool about it is it's a way for each one of us to show up, and Leah can speak her own experience through it. But just to show up for ourselves and for our community and for you. So whether or not you're joining us from the Righteous Rebel community on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, we just say welcome. Welcome, and thank you for sharing your time with us. We know time is precious, and that you're sharing with us is really cool. This has been a really neat activity for me to just learn to settle into. I'm going to use the words owning the perfectionism that still wants to hang on, and not owning it, not owning, accepting, and just sitting with it and allowing it to be part of the creation process. With watercolors, this is a medium that I've wanted to practice and get into for a long time, and just haven't allowed myself to, because I didn't want to be a beginner, and two, I can be really present in a lot of places, especially nature, and playful and just creative, allow myself to just have creative flow. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, it just, oh, those voices speak so loud. And so it's been a really neat process to just learn to flow. And if you go back, Leah, what day was it? Was it Tuesday?
Yes.
Must have been
It was
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Go watch Tuesday the 15th activity. And I had a moment where some of the things that Leah talked about, as far as just,
I think the
are
question
you
you said, what if I don't find this relaxing? Like, why? What would you tell? So I have a friend that says this isn't very relaxing.
that might
What
have
would
been
I tell that
yesterday's.
friend?
Yeah, so for me, it's noticing the thoughts that come through my mind about what's happening on my page, and am I outcome focused, or am I just present with how the brush is moving, how it feels in my hand, how it feels on the page, and watching the paints. But I also had this aha yesterday of, we get to start where we're at, and with the tools that we have, and most of us don't start with the finest of everything. We start with, you know, uh, makeshift this and a rat-a-tat that, and we just
Borrow
start
that.
moving and moving forward. And I just had this thought, because I was saying to Leah, like, why don't my colors and paints do the blue ballooning and all the things that yours are doing? And um, we had a realization that our paints are different, and they're formulated differently, which means it's going to show up differently on the page. And I thought, this is a really cool process for me to just to sit with the gift that I was given of this set of paints, and to learn how to work with them, and to learn how to be present with them. And then when I'm ready, I can move up into a newer set where I've developed the skills, I've developed the patience, I've developed an understanding that, maybe I actually needed to have before I moved on. So that was a kind of long way to say this has been a cool process for me. And I would hope that you, the watcher, the listener today, the participator, can find that place of presence and find those discoveries for yourself or on your own. And then we would love to hear about them. When we learn, it's always driven deeper when we share it and teach it with others. So if you're not a member of the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, this is your invitation, personal invitation, to head on over there and join the group. We're more than happy to let you in. It's also a place where you can share the artwork that you're practicing and participating in these presents. Well, any of the art activities that we do. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be here on St. Patrick's Day in a silly hat and braids, and to just be present for this next little bit. We'll see you. Leah, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, if you want to join in, all you need is...
Hey, really quickly, before we end today, can we talk about this stuff?
Okay.
Just so you know, and it's the teaser for someone watching. Like, we're going to talk about this at the end. So heads up on that.
Perfect.
All you're going to need is...
Oh, right. Okay. So you're going to need some watercolor paper. This is from yesterday's, but we need some watercolor paper, 140-pound press, cold press preferably. If you do anything thinner than that, it's going to make holes in it and you're not going to be happy and you're not going to want to do it again. So let's get some good paper. You need a paintbrush. Any watercolor or acrylic paintbrush will work. Today we're going to use a straw. We need some water and some watercolors. So like Jen said, they're all a little different. Some are better quality than others. And just start wherever you're at, whatever you're comfortable investing in this experiment, and go from there and see if it's something that you want to explore further. And an open mind, open heart, very much leaning into the process over what you're going to get out of it. I always say that if I get something I like at the end, that's a happy little surprise. So it's a bonus piece. It's not the reason why I show up and do this. It's more just to feel that calm, to feel that presence of like, oh my God, look at what's happening.
Are you I'm listening to you right now and I'm like, are you for real? You really don't sit down and think I want to do this. Like, my mind, I still have such a struggle with that, of this, like, sitting down and do something.
If I'm doing something like meditative like this, like if I'm just having a heck of a day, I will just sit down and just start putting strokes on the page. I tend to use a lot more water in those instances because I find it calming. If I'm being pulled into a project, that's a little bit different.
Okay.
But
when you say pulled into a project, meaning you're having thoughts, you're having ideas, and it's drawing you to
it. Like I'll get a picture in my head of kind of what I want, and then I'll do like a rough sketch of it, and then just start putting stuff down. And in that case, then I'm thinking, what's my lightest color, and moving to darker. When you're doing watercolor, you can't, once you've put a dark color, you can't go over top of it with light. So it's working yourself backwards from light to darker. But even that, like, it is forgivable. And there are tools and other mediums that you can use to, if you don't have that process perfectly down. But it's really, I don't know. Like I think I was sharing with you before, I don't think that I can recreate some of the stuff that I've made, just because it was guided by inspiration in the moment. And I think that really comes from these practice things, like just making patterns, like, playing around with the balloon shapes and what happens when I dry my brush, or like, mixing colors and just just
I
letting it be a playful process.
Something you just said like really just hit a spot in me because we get asked a lot. You said, I don't know that I could recreate some of the things I do because they just come from inspiration, and I just do them. And it takes me to I think this space of where we're at, where we're creating business from heart and with heart. And it's a different model than what we're taught in just everyday business world. And nothing against the everyday business stuff, it just doesn't fit for me. And as you said that, I'm like, that's what I do. When people ask me what I do, I struggle sometimes with that answer, because the perfectionist part of me wants to give the answers of the everyday. But the reality is, i I do what I do simply by inspiration, and sometimes I don't know what I've done. It
Yeah.
just it's who I'm with and what's needed in those moments, and the inspiration that's given by way of the coaching and the guidance and the now, yes, we do put together lots of things that are similar and still led through inspiration. But it just, I don't know, that just settled a piece in me that was like, oh, okay, if I can do that in other places, maybe I can do that in art. And that there's a yeah, that was just cool.
There's an okay piece to that. I don't need to know the answer, but it
Yeah.
is kind of like, if it's not, I think we talked a little bit about this before. It's like, it's where you're comfortable and you're okay not knowing. And when it's not a medium that you're familiar with, it's harder to let go of that and just feel into that process, because you're not sure what that process is and what it's supposed to feel like, and knowing what that flow is. And it's funny because it's such a random example, but like I remember, having my son, and there was a moment like, I don't even know if what I'm feeling is normal, and having a bit of panic. And then the midwife looked at me and she's like, no, you're good. And how much that eased me into that process. And I think it's the same in what we're doing. If it's not something you're super familiar with, it's going to take some time to understand what the process looks like, what it feels like, and what you want it to feel like. So, but you're doing great being here and showing up and just being comfortable in the discomfort of it all. So,
That's exactly what it is.
yes. So, did I mention a straw? I think we're going to do the
Yes.
straw thing
Yes. I'm
today.
actually really excited because we did this once before and I loved it.
um, so I'm gonna try and do a bit of a St. Patrick's kind of thing. Um,
Does that mean green is calling to us today?
Yes, but not yet. I'd like to start with a yellow,
Okay.
just to build out the background with the straw. And then once that dries a little bit, and maybe we can talk about the other things you were talking, the books,
Yes. Yes.
while that
Perfect.
dries, and then we can go in and do our, our clovers. So I'm going to switch camera here.
Okay. I'm not.
And yeah, we'll see your lovely face.
Sweet hat.
There you go. Sweet hat. Okay. So here's my paper and everything's shaking around. So here you just want to grab a brush. You can have a thick brush, you have a thin brush, depending how big you.
Have you taped your paper down today?
I did. I wanted to see if it would make a difference in my
Okay.
world. So here I've put some water in my yellow. I'm just gonna go with my brush, and I'm just gonna put a drop here and maybe one over there. They're gonna be different sizes, but I want it in like a droplet type deal. So, and then I'm gonna take a little bit, make a light green just to change the tone of that yellow just a touch. What am I doing here? I don't know what you can see. My camera went all
It's a
blurry.
little blurry, yeah.
Why? It was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah. Earlier it was.
Let's try that again. There we go.
There we go.
So I learned the first time that we did this, Jen, how different ours turned out. Mine had way more water, and it looked like a big mess. And yours were super cute, and like I was just what a difference the amount of water you're putting on makes. So I'm going to try that way this time and see how that works out differently. Because sometimes having a whole whack of water isn't the solution.
Did you just say a whole whack of water?
A whole whack of water.
I love it. Whole whack of water.
So we got some spots, and let's like take our straw and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough liquid to blow.
It goes kind of spidery, so that's kind of fun. Go from different angles and see what. So that was with my thin brush.
Wow.
I'm going to do the same kind of thing with my bigger brush. So it's going to have
my thin brush is...
What happened?
Nothing. It's like not enough water really to like make it do anything. It's in my thin brush.
So if it's not, you can always give her a squeeze.
Well, I'm just going to do this a little differently. Oh!
Are you okay over there?
Yeah. It's just trying to run off the page.
Oh, fun. Those are the best points. That's why I like to do it on this plastic thing, or it's going to be all over my table.
Yeah. We may end up with it on my computer.
Now I feel like I've done them too big, but I'm going to go with it anyways. Whoa. Yeah, I went too big. That's not what I was looking for. But it's a cool wash. And because I did the other one more concentrated, it's kind of like going over it instead of blending in with it. So that's cool. See, I'm learning as I go here too. I'm not.
I love it. I love it when you have learning moments with me. This is
right,
what
like I'm just not
so
super
far.
versed in straw blowing art. So it's an interesting experience. You know what? Just because I like this color, I'm gonna go with this like cyan blue, I think it's called, or like bright, beautiful blue. Isn't it funny how we come up with like color names?
Yeah.
I swear I've been to the art store and I buy a color just because of what it's called. So we were talking this morning about the Remember When book, and it was
yes.
making me
Here,
think.
let me just put that back up here. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this is Remember When by
Yeah, I just was thinking that book is all about it's a nostalgic journey back into your memories, and you know how.
Hey Leah, who wrote that book?
I did.
Oh.
But it's like that book was such a joyful process, because in doing it, I got to sift through my own memories and remember, like, you know, I always think of the bubble gum that you try to blow as big as your face, you know, or those moments like you're when you moved. I remember how emotional that was, like putting in that page, because like I was like actually tearing up because I was remembering like saying goodbye to friends, or, you know, going to a new school and how scary that can be, or, you know, the memories of going to your grandparents' house and how it smells, or, you know, just all those little things that we forget to remember. And that's why I love that book. And we were talking about how those memories can bring those pieces of us back to life. It reminds me of my friend Kelly, who has reconnected with her creative side, and has started painting. And it made me think of, I remember being a kid and we were just having like a free period. Hold on. It was kind of like you could do whatever you want for this free period. and there was like boxes and straws and all these like craft supplies. And I remember getting like a shoebox and some construction paper, a straw, and I made like, I don't know if you'd call it a diorama, but like I made a scene in the box and then made a little character that I attached to the straw. And so my character could walk through the diorama. And I remember the teacher like calling attention to it and like look what I made and all this stuff, and how like I I was just, how that made me want to like just hide. Like it was great that she was like acknowledging it, but I don't know, it was one of those things that like I just didn't, I was just doing the thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Ah, hello, little baby.
I know. I have a buddies again. This is like one of the pieces why I think it would be cool for me like to remember memories right now so that as he ages, like that stuff my kids can share that instead of like when I'm old and trying to remember things and they're trying to pull things out of me.
While they're still, vivid in our minds. Like I think that was a big for driver for me as the idea came, and thinking of all the memories my grandma was sharing as she's in the late stages of Alzheimer's, and how there was things that I didn't even, you think your people, like, and there
Yeah,
was
and
things that I didn't even know that I didn't know.
well, and I had the opportunity to be at a funeral yesterday of my stepdad, and I I learned so much. Like I had no idea. And what was interesting is there were a lot of people who were like, I didn't know that about him, or just there's so much. And I just love this idea of getting it down why we remember.
Yes. So
Okay,
when
mine
since we're doing
over.
painting and creativity stuff, like, do you have a memory that sticks out for you of, you know, playing in paint or crafting or anything like that? What comes
Um,
up for
I
you?
I had a thought earlier of like remembering um like finger painting. And like honestly just how free that was. There was no, you just like get in and you make a mess and you allowed yourself to make a mess and whatever. That's probably like the last time I remember just like, well, no, I used to draw when I was 8th grade. I drew a lot and I drew these really cute bunnies. And I had a Mrs. Walsh, she was my homeroom teacher. She also taught my English class. And she said, will you draw more of those for me? And she fostered my want and my artistic ability, and every year she would decorate her room in all those bunnies.
Aw.
So just yeah, there I do have some moments of just being more free and when it was fun. What
So you
squished
say when
that?
it was fun, when did it stop being fun?
That's what I stop. I was just thinking that myself. I'm like, I don't know when it stopped being fun. Probably when I stopped doing it or when I decided it had to be a certain way
Mm.
or somebody told me I had to be a certain way. I don't know that answer. I'm gonna have to ponder that.
It makes me think of like all the things that we stopped doing. I think a story that you had shared before comes up for me, about like,
You see it, Mom?
maybe it was like putting on walls or something, like other creative expression that you were playing around with as a kid. Maybe not.
I'm like I don't remember. Like where did I share that?
I think it was on a live and unscripted. I think it's the one where I did the interview on you because our
Oh,
guest had canceled or something. So we did one about your life and your childhood memories and stuff like that.
I mean I remember as a kid we just you just let go and you don't care. You just build and create, and it's like, where does that? I think for me, it's like in being told you have to grow up, which I honestly never want to grow up. Um, I just,
Or it's just not cool anymore.
it's not,
I know that was the
maybe.
thing for me. It's like that's a kid's thing. I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah, and
Um,
my goal is to always be a kid. But I have noticed there are places, just just with some of the tougher things of life that we get to experience, that create growth, expansion. Some of that stuff comes with its own unique pain and whatnot. And I think we set down the funner things as a way to just survive.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do one more and probably wrap her up here. How's 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 the baby like in the painting?
I think he wants to be right in it. Did you want to paint
Let
one?
me touch it.
Here,
I
here.
want to touch it.
I'm going to let him draw one. Oh, here. Here. And draw with Maga. Yeah, I see. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So did you notice anything different doing the straw thing this time? Like, did it feel different? Did you notice?
I just like it because I really can, for whatever reason, that one just allows me to let go. It's more playful because I know in advance. Oh, that's a really cool one, Baylor. Nice job. I know in advance that it's going to do whatever the heck it wants to.
Ah.
And so I get excited about what is it going to do? Whereas, when you're saying to me, draw shapes, my mind still goes, it's challenging for me to just let my mind go and draw the shapes and let them be whatever they're going to be.
Ah, I see. So it's like you forfeit control to the straw, expecting it doesn't know what it's going to do anyways. And it's not a you thing at that point. You give it up to the tool. So what if that was like giving it up to the paintbrush?
That's what I'm working on, Leah.
Because sometimes these paintbrushes, they have a mind of their own. Like you gotta know.
And remember, I don't know if it was
like, look
earlier this week, I had that noticing of my hand wants to be in control instead of just letting my arm maybe get into it or allowing my body to fill into it. Like it's stuck. It's releasing that energy from the whole creative body versus just what's in my hand.
Now I have this urge to wash it. Kind of do. I don't know. I'm gonna try it and see what happens.
I'm gonna splash mine.
There we go. Ooh, look at that one. That turned out so cool.
Dang.
Not exactly what I expected, but it's kind of cool. Huh. And then, like, if you did the clovers, you can redefine them with a darker. You can do it with a green. I'm going in with a blue to make it pop. And then it kind of, I guess, doing that like makes it more looser. Like you can do super refined watercolor, and that it's definitely beautiful and it can be done, and it just takes more practice. But in this situation, just being comfortable with the looseness of it and giving the illusion of shapes and the illusion of whatever it is you're making is super fun, because it just kind of relaxes the expectations around it. I don't know.
That piece right there, the expectation piece. I have to remind myself, expectation. My definition of expectations I learned many years ago was it's premeditated resentments.
Yes.
And I don't think about that with the art, but that's true. It's true here too. Like if I come into this with an expectation, I'm totally setting myself up for failure and resentment later. Like, and for that just crappy negative self-talk that wants to come in, instead of just going, all right, let me see what's going to happen here. I think that's why I like the straw stuff.
Well, There we go.
Well,
could do that a little
here
bit
is something.
differently, and you can
I like the one
definitely.
Baylor drew. He drew this one.
Oh, I love it. So cute. I love when kids get so when my kids were we used to do pudding finger painting, and I'd put them in the high chair and just let them finger paint with pudding, and it was super fun because then they could eat it, and it was
I've thought about doing that with food, like actually doing like getting cherry juice or stuff you have in your refrigerator and experimenting
coffee.
that way. I just haven't.
Coffee is a super fun one, just because you can play with how dark it will be, and it's a saturation thing, and that one's fun for like pouring. I don't know if you've seen those on TikTok or on socials. Like they pour coffee in one spot and then they leave that spot, but then they'll paint around it, the image. I don't know. It's super cool. Just different things, different ideas to play. I remember meeting this woman who wrote a whole book, a children's book, and she painted it all in coffee, and it was like amazing.
That's
Like that was
incredible.
her watercolor was just coffee.
Wow.
Incredible.
It just goes to show you use what you have, learn how to be creative with what you have, and decide if you want something different or something. I don't want to say I don't. Not it's not the word more, just different,
Different.
different,
Definitely different is good.
and, and being okay with it.
Yeah.
So this actually has been fun. I washed mine. They don't necessarily look like clovers anymore, and I'm okay with that. It's a lot more abstract.
There you go. Abstract works. And I mean, you can
um,
always go in with your gel pop or sparkle pop pens and like make the clovers and do your St. Patty's, make it a thing. I don't know. Have fun with it.
I'm gonna let it dry. I'm gonna consider that.
And then share it in the art gallery in the group. I'd love
Oh
to see
wait,
it. Yes.
and what group is that?
It's the Righteous Rebels group on Facebook. If you're not part of that, you want to go over to Facebook and look up the Righteous Rebels and smash that join button, and we'll let you in, and you can see all the goodness that's going on there. So we'd love to have you there. Um, yeah.
Do you want to tell them really quickly about where they can order this and this? What is this?
So that is our journal. It was actually the first creation we did together,
This
our
is so
co-creation.
exciting.
I know. That one is full of journal prompts and coloring pages and awesome designs and quotes. There's prompts throughout the book that are not necessarily in words, but like if you see a pair, oh, yep, after every storm, there's a rainbow of hope. And I think that one you can color a rainbow, draw in a rainbow.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does say draw your rainbow of hope right at what you're hopeful for. So it does have a
Yes,
prompt.
right. Like, and
Oh wait.
make it fun. Um, Comparison is the thief of joy. So it's kind of a journal, kind of a coloring book, self reflection.
Every every page has some kind of prompt.
Yes, I
And
think that one
guide.
is like, what do you need today? Or how
Yep.
can there's glasses ones like, how can I shift perspective?
Yeah, that the
Caw,
arrows is give back. How do I give
yeah,
back?
how do you give back?
Caw. We love caw.
Yes, celebrate all wins. Caw.
Caw. This is one of my faves.
Oh, yes, the hand up, lending of
What is that?
strength.
What is the hand up, Leah?
It's a lending of strength and an exchange of energy. It's not just like when you think of a hand out, it's like you're giving, but there's no exchange. It's like the giver is the one getting all the energy, and the receiver is like the receiving, but sometimes that doesn't always feel good. But when there's an equal exchange of energy, you're just lending some of that strength and offering assistance instead of help.
Right? I just had this thought. Like I think for me, hand up is this. It's a shifting of the energy of what it means to give and receive. Like we get so caught up in that it's better to give than receive. And I was taught that. I've been on that end of it. I've believed that for a long time. But the reality is there has to be receivers. or the giver has no one to give to. And so I like that concept of just sharing the energy together as a way to lift people up and respect their humanity and their dignity, and just
Yeah.
versus keeping them in victim status, really.
I love
So
it.
we would love for you guys, head on over, get yourself a copy of this, and when you do, let us know. And if you have questions, let us know. We're going to start doing some activities based around Remember When. So watch for those. We've been chatting a lot about them this morning and what that's going to look like. There's been some reformulations, and we are super excited to bring them to you.
Absolutely.
Leah, I'm excited for the work she's done there, and that I get to be a part of that and help share all of that out for her and for the Righteous Rebel community at large. So with that, thanks for joining us again for, I think this is day 9 or 10 of the 30-day installment.
Yes, day 9.
Sweet. We got a long ways to go. I can't wait to see what happens come day 30. Have an amazing Friday wherever you're at. Again, go over and smash that join button on the Righteous Rebels. Put your artwork in there. Let us celebrate you.
Yes.
And with that, remember to be bold, be brave. We're going to get this someday. Be a rebel.
Well, you went long on that one.
We'll see you soon.
Well, fancy.